Hi, I'm Devin Moore, your host for Humanity Rising's Race to Speak Up podcast and founder of hashtag Race to Speak Up, an anti-bullying organization. The Race to Speak Up podcast is a place where we have open and engaging conversations about bullying prevention, how to be upstanders, and how we are making a positive change in our communities. So the question now is, how do you race to speak up? Hello and welcome to the Race to Speak Up podcast. I'm your host, Devin Moore. Today's guest is Carol Hufford Deely. Carol is a mother and president and co-founder of Gabriels Light. In 2019, Carol and her husband, Bren-dan, founded Gabriels Light in honor of their son who died by suicide on November 14th, 2018, at the age of 12. The mission of Gabriels Light is to prevent youth suicide through education, cyber safety, and kindness campaigns. They shared their journey with the hope that others may learn and grow from their tragedy. Gabriels Light shares their story to build awareness of youth suicide as a growing public health problem. Through outreach, programs, partnerships, and funding, they raise awareness and inspire youth, parents, and educators to take action and help forward their mission. Welcome, Carol. How are you?
Good morning, Devin. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you tell us about Gabriels Light?
Yeah, as you just mentioned, my husband and I founded Gabriel's Light on the 1 year anniversary of losing our sweet 12-year-old seventh grade son to suicide. At that time that we lost him, we really were very unfamiliar with the um, um, breadth and broadness of the problem of suicide in this country and in the world. And it was really, it shattered our family. And as we started to heal, and we continue to heal, we felt like we learned so many things after he died when we became more educated that we felt that we should share it with others so that other parents could be saved from the pain that we've been through.
Why don't you tell us about Gabriel? What type of child was he?
So our son Gabriel was the fourth of our five children. Our first three children were our biological daughters, and we adopted Gabriel from Ethiopia. Here's a picture of him. We adopted him from Ethiopia when he was an infant. He was always very happy and had a smile. He had very few enemies. He had a lot of friends. He was very interested in girls at a very young age, which was always kind of a running joke for us. And he always had really, really funny jokes and saw the funny side of things. He was more into drama and singing and playing the piano than he was into athletics, though he did a variety of recreational sports. He was well-rounded, and he had faith, and he was a wonderful son. And when we look back now, there were a few minor warning signs, but really nothing that would have been cause for concern, and that's why we were just so surprised. And he held everything in. He didn't talk to anybody, talk to his family about his problems. So it shocked our community, his classmates, his teachers, his coaches, and especially our family. It was a great loss, and it still is, and we're still healing. But we have wonderful, wonderful memories of the 12 years and 3 months that we had with him.
Well, Carol, let me say that I am truly sorry for your loss. I mean, how do you cope with it?
Well, we take deep breaths and we take one day at a time. We all have every of our surviving family members. We all see therapists. We try to take care of our health, and we try to be there for each other and and really we work hard not to blame ourselves or blame anyone. And we just hope that we can, help others avoid what happened to us, because it's just, everybody's life is valuable, and everyone has someone that loves them, and there is hope and there is help. And that's what we want to tell kids, is that if you have a bad day, or if you're being bullied or whatnot, there's plenty of people that love you, and there's help there. And this is temporary. This is not going to last forever. So, young people are very impulsive, and they do impulsive things. And so, we just take it one day at a time, and we're coming up on the third anniversary of losing Gabe. And he would have been a sophomore in high school now. And it's gotten a little bit easier, but it would definitely was really out of the blue for us.
Well, Carol, I'm glad that you're working through Gabriel's Light to really, really educate others about this extremely hard, traumatizing, and real issue. I am, I know that when it comes to support systems, that's the main thing that the youth need, especially when they're younger and younger, in order to really show that there's someone who is there for them. There's someone who loves him or who loves those who are going through these hard times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Gabriel was actually doing internet searches about bullying, right? Or what exactly was he searching?
So we received a search report from his device at school, which was a device that never left the school, and he searched bullying, and he was looking at he was looking up the hashtag stop the bullying quite a bit, and he was looking up suicide. And he so he obviously had been thinking about it. And as I mentioned, he wasn't the most athletic young man, but he enjoyed playing recreational sports. And we do think he felt a little bit, maybe not as strong in that area, and maybe felt bad about that, or maybe someone said something to him that he didn't feel good about himself. We're not really sure, but we know that he also had written, like in a little diary in his room, that some things that led us to acknowledge that he didn't feel good about himself, and that he felt that some people didn't care about him. But he acknowledged a lot of people did care about him, but it was just a few that didn't, that were probably the bullies. And it just goes to show you that even though the majority of people were his friends, and he knew he could count on them, just because one or two people weren't friendly, that contributed to him not feeling good about himself. Because what we now know about suicide is that it's never one thing. It's he possibly had depression, but he was being treated for ADHD, so he saw a psychiatrist. So it can be like, if there's major situations in the family, but we hadn't had anything major happen in our family. My husband and I have a strong marriage, and he had 4 siblings that all loved him, and so there wasn't really anything going on at home, and there were no financial problems or anything like that at home. He was 12. I mean, he didn't have any drug or alcohol abuse or addictions, and none of that was in our family. But he had some situation with possibly a few peers that wasn't addressed, and his school had a history of that. I find out from some other parents after he passed away. And so, one of the things that we try to instill in our messaging, a few things, but one of them is that every person can make a difference for someone else. just one kind word, or letting someone know that you have their back, or making eye contact, or smiling. Everything can make a difference for someone, because you just never know what somebody's really going through by just how they present on the outside. You never really know. And so, therefore, it's really important to be kind. And that's one of the things that we really try to instill in our messaging, is that if everyone could just be kind to others, it could make a big difference.
And Gabriel's Light has kindness campaigns. Can you tell us about it?
Yes. So we started last spring a youth ambassador program, in which we invite either a group of high schoolers, or high schoolers and junior high students, to participate in our high school. We had a high school social media ambassador group last year, and we one of the first campaigns that we had them help us develop was our Shine the Light campaign, in which they helped us develop a campaign where you would shine the light on someone on social media, so that you would call out someone, say why you thought that they were important to you, and then you would encourage others to leave positive comments about them as well. Because a lot of people, social media can have a lot of negative effects on youth and on adults. And so, what we try to emphasize is, and educate students on, is that using social media for good. And so that's one thing that we've done. Then last summer, we developed some kindness cards for summer camps, for the counselors to use with their campers. And so when they would have like a few minutes of downtime with their campers, day camp or sleepaway camp, they could practice lots of different things that would be good for them or good for someone else. So it was self-care and care for others, and making people know they're important, and also, but making sure you take care of yourself too.
Oh,
And
Carol,
then,
why don't you read one of them?
okay, well, this one is a walking meditation, and it says, "Did you know that you can meditate on the move? For some, sitting still is difficult. You can still enjoy the benefits of meditation while walking. Take deep, slow breaths. As you walk, pay attention to every step that you take. Step heel to toe, consciously placing your foot down. If you get distracted, refocus on your steps." So we suggest they do that a few times, and then there's questions at the end. How did that feel? Was it difficult? Which part? For you, is it easier to clear your mind while sitting still or moving? So that's that one. We have other ones about compliments. So the walking meditation is one that's for self-care. And then we have some that are for others, and this one's called compliments. A compliment can boost self-esteem and increase positivity, whether you are giving it or receiving it. A simple compliment can truly change someone's day and possibly his or her life. Practice. Give at least one compliment to someone today. Some tips on giving good compliments. Be specific. Be sincere. Mean what you say. And don't let an opportunity pass. When you have a positive thought about someone, share it.
Oh, wow. I think that's definitely something that we need to promote more on social media. That definitely, just if I were to see that, I know that would make me feel more calm and like confident in myself almost, because I know that there's a way to really calm myself down and really relax. So I think that's definitely something that needs to be more so promoted on social media. And like you said, there's a lot more negativity on social media, which we need to correct that with positivity.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that with a lot of the negativity that I see, I find it most beneficial just to avoid it and go on to something else. And the more that people respond to that negativity, the more that feeds them wanting to continue on. If you just ignore someone that's negative, or ignore someone that's trying to be a bully, they'll go away, because they want attention, you know. And so we try to encourage others, and to to take a moment and really think of what a positive response would be, or a positive thing for them could be for them to do that day.
I like that a lot. Stopping them or having them stop their own selves almost and really just think about what's going on and how can we almost create this safe. I always say create like a space of a safe space for you to really feel calm. And I'm going to use this word again, calm and kind and promote kindness. I think that, again, I think that's something we really need more
Hmm.
so on the internet. You see way too many things that
Yeah.
are more so geared towards anger and rage and negativity online.
Mhm.
But why can't we promote more kindness online? I mean, I would want to feel good. I know everyone else will want to feel good, but yet we focus on negativity. Why do you think that is?
I think that people that are negative, they seem to really they're very loud, and they are persistent in trying to attract attention, and therefore it's hard for some people just to not respond. It's hard for people just to read something and not do anything. For some people, I think that there is plenty of positivity on the internet. Is and once you start following positive um, sites and links and that, then your feed is going to start being more positive. Because I just noticed that with Gabriel's Light. Once I started searching certain hashtags with regard to kindness and anti-bullying and this and that, then I started get in my feed became very positive and very uplifting, and it's just amazing. And I think that by clicking on these negative things, then it reinforces it in your feed. So I think that people need to be mindful of that when on things that they click on or respond to or forward, things like that.
I completely agree. That's why on my social media, I always post positive affirmations or I wear like shirts that say really kind words. Like right now, I have a shirt on that says empathy. And I always post that online because I know, or on my social media, because I know that'll go into someone else's day. Other
Mhm.
people will see that and it'll make them feel happier. What can parents do to monitor their child's internet use?
This is a question that I'm asked quite a bit, and it's twofold. Really, is um, on the phones themselves, just the phones. They come with built-in parental controls. So that's the easiest thing to get started is to set time limits, and you set limits in your home about no telephones and devices in the bedroom or in the bathroom. It needs to be in public spaces, and managing the hours that they can use it so that they don't. Kids sometimes wake up during the night because they want to, go on. It's very addictive, So I would say the first thing to do is to manage how many hours you're going to let them use it, and where in the house. But also, you can put in there age limits for different apps and things, and you can disable the internet. You can disable anything you want on the phone based on your child's age. The other software that we were introduced to after we lost our son is one called Bark, and Bark is a software that uh, is the parents put it on their phone, and then they link their children's phones with them, and this allows you to monitor without taking their device and going through every text message and all their web searches. It allows it you select which things you want to monitor. Like, do you want to monitor like violence, drugs, depression, bullying, suicide, whatever you want to monitor, you choose, and then it lets you decide how strict you want to be based on the age or how um, mature your child is. And then you will get alerts. And sometimes these alerts can be, um, something that needs to be acted upon immediately. And sometimes it'll just be things that you realize that you don't have your parent controls set up properly, if they could search that, or it's just, and then it gives you some options about how to just have a discussion with your child about it. So it's not done secret, like your child, you tell your child you're doing it, and people say like, oh, I can't tell them, I can't do. Well, actually, you can. You're the parent, you own the phone, and that phone is a privilege for the child. And if they can't live with the parent, they're not mature adults. They can't make all good decisions. There's predators out there. This is going to help keep them safe. And it's very much less intrusive than the parent taking their phone and looking through it every night. And it saves the parents so much time. In addition, it also has a lot of algorithms built in with a lot of acronyms as they come up for kids, because you know how kids are. They come up with all these things and parents don't know what it is. And so they do a really good job of staying on top of that for parents. And so we use Bark. Bark is free for schools, and so schools have started using it, and they can get an alert of when something dangerous is going on. And Bark has saved many, many lives and stopped. Bark started after gun violence at a school in Florida, and they have saved many lives, and they've done really amazing work with helping with suicide prevention and with predators online with minors. They've done a great job. So it's Bark Technologies. It's amazing. There's other ones out there as well. That's the one that we recommend, and that's the one that is free for schools.
I see what you mean. I think that parents monitoring, especially when the child's at a really young age and hasn't really learned about the cyber predators and all that, bad stuff.
Yeah.
I think that it's better to have the parent monitor only in like those certain situations. But then again, I'm not a parent. So I'm just speaking from more so the child's perspective. But I think it's definitely a good way to really make sure the child is not getting themselves into anything, or no one is trying to get the child into anything. So I think that's definitely a good way to
Well,
really
if
help.
if as an example, if schools have locks on their doors and on their windows, but if they have if they have devices that they're giving to their students and they don't have any controls on them, it's like letting predators into your school. It's like letting anybody walk in your door because they're coming in through the screen. So you don't leave your front door unlocked, you don't leave your windows open, you lock them. And that's what this is. Bark. It's like your dog that barks when there's somebody there. That's what it means. And so if my son had been checking out books from the library about bullying or about suicide, if he had been checking those out from the library, I bet you the school would have called me. But if he was searching it and nobody knew it because they weren't monitoring the devices,
Yeah.
then I never got the call. Never had the chance to make that intervention.
Wow. And your website mentions education and cyber safety are keys to prevention. Can you explain?
So cyber safety is what is Bark. That's what we talk about is Bark, and it's also about parents being educated on monitoring what their kids are doing. And during the pandemic, when kids so young were remote learning and they had devices, some of them for the first time, they had this device in front of them for hours. What we did is we have had some articles called quarantines and tweens parenting during the pandemic, and we gave parents information about how to monitor a device and what to look for, and some other things as far as managing the amount of time in front of the computer, and how do you what sort of signs from your child can you maybe see that they're struggling a bit. And then the education portion that we focus on is we try to teach people what the signs of suicide are, because some suicides are preventable if we just knew what to do. For example, our son had I mentioned he didn't mention anything to us at home, the family, but he had mentioned it at school to his peers. He was in 7th grade. They didn't know. They ignored him. They told me he was trying to get attention. They thought he was kidding. Well, he wasn't kidding, you know. but we found that out after. Nobody ever reported it. 80% of kids, youth that die by suicide have told a peer about their plans. 80%. So kids, it's not enough just to teach the schools, the administrators, and the teachers. You have to teach the students too about if you hear something, say something. It's very important because the kids, people don't give kids enough credit. Kids can make a huge difference. They're old enough to learn about it. If they're old enough to die by suicide, they're old enough to learn about it, because kids as young as 8 and 9 have died by suicide. And so it's not too early to tell people, to teach kids about this. So we teach about the signs of suicide. We teach about um, how do you get help for yourself and for others. And we teach how do you know if somebody needs help, and what type of adult you go to, take them to adult. When do you need to stay by their side and not leave them? Like, you can determine the level of seriousness. So and then we teach people about the crisis text line, which is an 800 text line, and it's just a text line, and it's 24/7. It's free, and it doesn't have to be just a crisis. It can be anything. That they're very helpful. Like if you are concerned for yourself or someone else, you can ask a question. Sometimes it's easier for kids than talking, but that's a great resource. And then the suicide prevention hotline is one as well. So we teach kids about that as well, and parents.
Okay, okay. I see. I think it's really good to really educate the youth about these things, especially from a young age. I know that when it comes to bullying, in order for there to be less bullying, I really think it does start at a young age, educating the youth about it, and then also educating parents. Because when it comes to bullying, the youth tend to get that bullying behavior from their home environment. And so not only does it start with educating the youth at a young age, but also teaching the parent. Now, September is National Suicide Prevention Month. What does Gabriel's Light do during this month?
So, in this month, we have a group of youth ambassadors that are high schoolers, and we have around 45 students this year from 4 different states. And we, for the month of September, we train these kids on the signs of suicide and the signs of depression, and we ask them to post on their social media that they are a youth ambassador, and some of the things that they've learned, so that people know that if they have a problem, they could go to them, and that person would know. And then we also have them help us just spread the word on our Shine the Light campaign, which we're going to be modifying a little bit with this group, and so they're involved in helping us modify that, so that we are teaching people about suicide, but we're also teaching them the hopeful sides of it, that there is hope and there's help, and we can all make a difference by being. And one of those things that we can do is being kind. So we have on our social media, we have a lot of educational things and facts, like suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 to 24. But we think that we can make a difference, and everybody can make a difference if we work together to solve this. And we try to talk about suicide so that there's not a stigma, so people know if they need help, that there is help. We want to just catch somebody's eye that is struggling. And so it's basically on social media. We are continuing, but even we just do it more regularly, using the social media for good with positive messages, and some of the educational, and some aspect, which is knowing the signs and what to do, but also how to kindness towards others by shining a light on them. Then in October, we'll be talking, with the Anti-Bullying Month. We'll be working with them on that, on being upstanders and cyberbullying, and what you should do if you're cyberbullied, and this and that, which varies by their age group. So we just train them on that, and then they help us. We find that by having youth ambassadors putting the message out there is the best way to reach kids instead of adults. So, and they know a lot more than we do. So that's how we work our messaging through and with these youth ambassadors who really help drive a lot of that messaging.
And I know you just mentioned upstanders. Why does being an upstander matter?
Well, if you're not an upstander, then you are a bystander, and if you're a bystander, then you're just basically supporting that bully. You know, so right? I mean, if you're not saying anything, if you're not going to say anything, then you're basically part of the problem.
Yeah. I mean, just standing there and like recording it only to post on social media for all these people to just watch and laugh at, that is not what we
Mm-mm.
should be doing. We need to, if it's safe enough to intervene, or just speak up about the one being bullied, speak up for them and help
Yes.
them. I
Hmm.
know that when you actually intervene, most of the time it's just gonna stop. The bullying is just gonna stop. But if you don't and you just sit there and watch, don't say anything, or you just sit there and record for it to be posted on social media and not show like the school or someone in charge that could actually help the one being bullied. I think that's really just aiding in helping the bully.
It is.
That's when you become the bully,
Exactly.
unfortunately.
Then you become just you're just another one of the bullies. So yeah, so that's why and some it's hard for some kids to be brave enough to intervene. So we
Mhm.
talk about some ways that are maybe not as okay that they feel comfortable with, different things, but they have to be part of the solution and not just a bystander.
Yeah, I completely agree. What's been the most challenging part of your journey?
Um the most challenging part has been when the pandemic. It was the most challenging, but also ended up being a silver lining because the pandemic began six less than 6 months after our organization started, and so we had envisioned going into schools and doing all this, but then the school shut down. So then we decided that we'll just go straight to the youth because schools are closed. And as it turns out, going straight to the youth is just a much better path for our organization. We're very small, and they can spread the message for us so well. So that was an early challenge for us, and now I guess some of the challenges is just um, word of mouth, making sure that our message is heard, and organizations like yours that invite us to speak, and we do the same for organizations like yours. I mean, that's how we keep ourselves relevant and our message out there.
Yeah, and support each other. Yeah.
Each
What's been the most rewarding part of your journey?
We have saved lives. We have saved lives.
Very
I've
big
had
thing.
parents call me. I've had teachers call me. I've had coaches, and we've made a difference. We've really made a difference, and we know we have resources that we can help people assess things and help them get the help that's needed for their child. And yeah, I mean, so even that's what makes it all worthwhile.
What are your hopes and dreams for not only Gabriel's Light, but yourself moving forward?
Well, we're still pretty young, and I would like to partner with more organizations so that we have a message that really is a broad, like, has a national coverage, and um, that it would allow more people to know that there's help and that there's hope out there. So just the opportunities that are out there, I would like to find them so that we can reach as many kids as possible to help them out.
So, my last question for you is how can people find you? Tell us your social media platforms and website.
Our our website is gabrielslight.org. we're most prominent on Instagram, which is Gabriels_Light_fund. On Facebook, we're Gabriels Light, and on Twitter, we're Gabriels Light 4.
Well, thank you, Carol. I'm glad that you are able to really not only spread this message of suicide prevention, but also spread this message of supporting others. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. And there's a lot of people right now in this world that are angry, and you hear about airline attendants being verbally abused, and retailers, and all sorts of people. And like you mentioned, kids learn this behavior at home. So it's really up to the adults to show kindness, and to be a really true caring adult, so that it's carried through their children. So that's part of our message as well.
Yeah, kindness goes a long way. So thank you again. And thank you for all of you that are listening. I hope to see you guys at future Race to Speak Up podcasts. If you have any questions about the Race to Speak Up podcast, feel free to contact me at racetospeakup@gmail.com. Make sure to follow at Race to Speak Up on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for updates on future podcasts. Join the Humanity Rising movement. Humanity Rising offers scholarships for students making a difference in the world through service. Visit www.humanityrising.org for more information. And remember to ask yourself this question: how do you race to speak up?